GPT 5.4 just dropped, and it's finally available and working in OpenClaw as of the 2026 3.7 update. So if you're currently running the GPT 5.3 Codex model, you're going to want to see this. In this video, I'm going to break down the differences between 5.3 Codex in terms of usage and performance and show some benchmarks so you guys can decide if it's worth it or not. I'm also going to be going over the difference in cost and usage to determine where to use 5.4 and how to set it up between all of your agents in OpenClaw. So later on in the video, I'll show you guys a step-by-step guide in OpenClaw how to set up 5.4. All right, so let's get into it. All right, so this actually released on March 5th of 2026, introducing GPT 5.4. However, we have been waiting a while for the developers to release an update for OpenClaw so that we can actually use this model in OpenClaw, which just released today. So scrolling down here, you can see this is specific to reasoning and coding. So GPT 5.4 specifically is a multifunctional model that's supposed to incorporate some of the advantages of using 5.3 Codex with 5.4. Additionally, it has additional thinking and reasoning and agentic workflows and even better tool calling than most models, especially 5.3 Codex. So it's kind of like an all-inclusive model to cover just about anything. Now scrolling down here, these are some of the coding benchmarks, and you can actually see that GPT 5.4 and Codex, it is actually beating out 5.3 on many of these benchmarks. And they're pretty close overall, the benchmarks, but it is still beating out 5.3 Codex even in some of the coding tasks. Now, from what I've read online, I do believe that GPT 5.3 Codex is still the best for terminal-based work, if something is working in the terminal. So if you're doing like overnight coding tasks with your OpenClaw, I think it's still best to use GPT 5.3 Codex. But there are some specific examples where you'd want to use 5.4. So here's some of your coding benchmarks, a nice little chart for us to look at here. And you can see that GPT 5.4 is essentially on par with 5.3 Codex, if not just a little better in some areas. Whereas 5.2, which was more so like a thinking model, it didn't really do as good with coding. You can see it is far lower here in terms of performance. And GPT 5.4 is also very good with tool calling, as many have discovered so far in the limited testing in the last few days. So it's very good at tool calling in terms of the difference between 5.3 Codex and then much better than 5.2 as well. And here's a graph that portrays the agentic tool calling. So you can see here that, yeah, GPT 5.4 is far superior to 5.2. All right, now let's talk cost, because this matters whether you're on the API or a Plus plan. On the API side of things, GPT 5.3 Codex runs $1.75 per million tokens and $14 per million token output. And GPT 5.4 is $2.50 per input and 15 output. So you're looking at a roughly 40% on input and a little more on the output. Now, if you're on Plus like me, you're not paying per token, but OpenAI does factor in which models you're using when calculating your usage. So running an agent on 5.4 is almost certainly going to eat through your weekly allowance faster than running on the same agent with 5.3 Codex. But here's the counterpoint, and this is very important. OpenAI says 5.4 uses 40% fewer reasoning tokens to solve the same problems. So even though the token costs more, the model is burning through fewer to get the actual answer. So depending on your workload, that can actually wash out. So this is exactly why I'm splitting my agents across multiple models instead of just throwing everything at 5.4. You want to make sure you put your heavy reasoning decision making on 5.3 where it shines, and then keep your dedicated coding work on 5.3 Codex, where it's cheaper and still best in class for pure code generation, and run your lighter agents on local models for free. That way you're stretching your plus limits as far as possible. And I'll show you guys more later in the video how I'm going to set this up with my specific models. All right, now let's go ahead and get this set up in OpenClaw. So I'm just going to bring up a terminal here. All right, and once you've SSH into your server, the first thing we want to do is make sure we update OpenClaw, because this is not going to work if you do not update to the latest version as of today. So OpenClaw update would be your command that you want to run. Right now it's checking to see if I have any updates, which I've already updated. So it should just come back and be like, no, you're on the latest. But if not, it'll update your instance, and it might be worth doing some backups real quick just in case. I did have one time where I updated OpenClaw and it essentially broke the whole thing. Luckily I had a VM backup, but just keep that in mind. All right. So it looks like it went ahead and updated to 2026.3.7, and it's now restarting OpenClaw. All right, and the next thing we want to do is just configure our new models. So we're going to type in OpenClaw configure, and even if you've already logged in with your ChatGPT Plus subscription, you are going to have to do it again. So just go ahead and hit enter, and then arrow down to models, and then OpenAI, Codex, ChatGPT OAuth. So first thing you want to do is you want to go to this site here. I just did this, but let's see if it makes me do it again to re-log in. You want to paste this in your web browser. Okay, so it is going to make me re-log in again. Let me just do that real quick. All right, once you've signed in with your Codex with ChatGPT, the last thing you want to do, you're not done yet. You have to copy this string right after it says code equals, and it says AC underscore. We want to copy this in our browser bar all the way to this and symbol. And in my case, the string ends with S4. So go ahead and copy that string, and then we'll go back to our terminal here and paste it in. Go ahead and hit enter. And now we should be good to go. Now let's see if I can get to the models here. I'm way down at the bottom for some reason. Okay. So here we are with all of the OpenAI models that you can pick from using your Codex OAuth login. And you can see right there, OpenAI-Codex 5.4 is now available. I'm going to go ahead and hit spacebar, and that'll select it, and then hit enter. All right, and that should now be all set up in our system. So the next thing I'm going to do is go to my Telegram chat where I have all of my agents set up. I don't ever do this manually. I always just have my CTO, infrastructure, Atlas do pretty much everything. Sometimes I'll have Claudia do it. She's the CEO. So in this case, I want to set up our head agent or main agent, which is Claudia, the CEO. I'm going to put her on this new model. So I'm going to tell Atlas, put Claudia on GPT 5.4. And Atlas should be able to figure this out. He's pretty smart. I normally don't have to give him like a whole lot of information. He'll pretty well assume what I mean most of the time. So it looks like he's already started the change here. Okay. And now we've got him set up. And right now I'm going to keep him on 5.3 Codex because I'm having Atlas do a lot of like coding work and stuff in the terminal as well. So I want to keep him on that model, and also that's going to keep my usage down so I don't run through my weekly usage, which most likely is going to be quite a hit depending on how you use GPT 5.4. I'm gonna have to do a little more testing on that to see how much it actually uses in terms of usage. I'm just kind of assuming that the API costs and the usage costs are going to be essentially equal in terms of what you can estimate for your Codex usage in your dashboard. So, okay, looks like the change went through. Now let's go talk to Claudia. What model are you on? All right, and there she goes. She says, I am on OpenAI Codex GPT 5.4. So I'm going to keep our CEO, the head of the whole operation, on this model. And then Atlas, like I said, is going to be on 5.3 Codex for overnight tasks. And then Nova right now is actually on a local model, and that's going to be my next video, so stay tuned for that video. I have her as a fallback though on GPT 5.2. So anyway, that'll do it for this video. If you guys have any questions on this new model or the setup, let me know down below in the comments. Like I said, I'm going to be doing more videos like this. I've got a video coming out soon in the next few days that is going to be showing you how to use local models over the network on a different device, and then setting that up in OpenClaw so you can save even more money on usage and API tokens. So if any of that interests you, consider subscribing to the channel. And as always, have a wonderful day.